All right, I think we're good to start.
Great. Thank you, Rachel. Hi, everyone. My name is Jane O'Connor. I'm the Director of Day Admissions at George Stevens Academy, and Rachel Van Carpels, who you have just seen briefly, our admissions assistant, and I are very happy to welcome you to this virtual information center session. Some of you are actually Zooming from area towns right close by, and some of you are Zooming from far away. And so it's just nice to welcome you all. I think the challenging thing about doing these virtual information nights is that it's hard to capture, I think, the full depth and breadth of our program, and especially in a Zoom conference. And rather than bore you all with a 2-hour one, which would it would take at least that to capture what we do. We're not going to torture anyone with that, but what we're going to do is offer a series of programs over the course of this year to introduce you to sort of sections of in parts of our program. And this evening, and we will share those dates with you later this evening. But tonight we're excited to highlight our core program and touch upon our advisory, independent study and independent project program and a 9th grade seminar. And I think when you're learning about a school, it's one thing to go on the website and and you can easily learn what it is we do, but it's harder to know what it is, how and why we do what we do. And we're hoping that tonight will kind of fill in some of that for you as you meet some of the fantastic people behind the scenes, particularly our teachers. So if you have questions throughout the night, if you would, just please write them in the chat box and we will be sure to get to them. We've saved time toward the end of this to get to all your questions, and the presentation will be about 35 minutes long. So before we get to our core program and our teachers, I first wanted to introduce you to Timothy Seeley, our head of school. Tim.
Thanks, Jane. Hi, everybody. Welcome. I just have a very small piece here, which is appropriate because really the heart of students' experience at GSA is in their classes with their teachers and other folks. But I did want to say, I work in a high school because my high school experience was pretty profound. It really had a very, very big impact on me. And high school it's a very important time in someone's life. And I think that it's legitimate to say it sets up in many ways the rest of your life. Doesn't mean things can't change. And of course we grow and develop, but a lot of things that are very important in human beings happen in the time that we are in high school. And the two I wanted to highlight have to do with intellectual growth and human development that happens at that time. Intellectually, our brains change. They change a lot in adolescence, and we gain the ability to think abstractly sometime between 12 and 19, changes for people. So what does that mean? It means like the difference between arithmetic, where you have all set numbers, and algebra, where you have numbers that you don't know, but you still work with them. It means you gain a greater ability to think about not just what is, but what might be. And so not just who you are, but who you might be and who you want to create. Developmentally, you move from having, for the most part, most of the decisions about your life and what you're going to do and where you're going to be being made by someone else, which is proper. But by the end of high school, you're making most of those yourself, which is also proper. So that's a big change over those years. And the one thing that I wanted to say is that's why choosing a high school is an important choice. And we're fortunate to live in a place that has school choice for our 7 main local sending towns and some others. And my advice is, of course, I hope you'll choose GSA because I think it's an outstanding school. I'm really proud of it. But you want to choose a school that's designed to foster and support growth in those areas. that will push you and will help you when you fail and celebrate you when you succeed, because that's how we grow in confidence and resilience. And I do think, as you will hear today, GSA is set up around those notions of how do we foster and encourage and help the intellectual growth of our students, and also their human development, by providing good support structures, but also ways to really pursue their own interests. So that's all that I wanted to say, and I'm going to turn it back to you, Jane, and I'll close by saying again, welcome, thank you, choose wisely, and be sure to follow up with any questions and come by for a visit if you can, etc. Thank you, Jane. And I'm going to mute because my dogs are here and they've been remarkably quiet. They must not realize I'm on a Zoom, because normally they start barking, but that's why I'm going to mute myself.
Thank you. Thanks, Tim. All right, so we're going to dip into our core academic program, and you are going to meet a number of people from our departments and get to hear a little bit from them. And the first one up is Caroline Richards, who is our social studies department chair, and a hoot, frankly. Caroline.
I thought you saved the best for last, but well, here we go. So hi, welcome. Thanks for being with us this evening. Caroline Richards, head of the social studies department, because I lost the coin toss, and why I like being at GSA, because I could do stuff like what you're seeing on the screen, where I try to get the kids to not burn down the family home, but we've had some close calls. What you're seeing right there is a project we did at the beginning of the year, making rocket stoves. Some students made bread, some made cheese, some made animal traps. So we're basically practicing the skills that our ancestors had and would have needed to develop to work towards civilizations that we have today. So what I really love about the school is a chance to be very hands-on, as well as throwing a million books at them. What I like about GSA is the encouragement I receive when I go up to the headmaster and go, hey, Tim, I'd like to take the students to Italy or Greece or Bangor to the Holocaust exhibit, or can we go to jail? Can we have jail come to us? So for me, the freedom and flexibility and the give and take of what students can do in the classroom and out of the classroom. I have worked at about 7 different schools, public, private, international. I've lived and taught abroad, and nowhere else have students and teachers been given this amount of physical and intellectual freedom to pursue passions and dig deeply and melt one of their parents' really beautiful pieces of cookware. This is not that project, but that was on Facebook a little bit ago. So that's my spiel in a nutshell. I work with some fantastic people in my department who are as committed as I am to making sure your kid's going to get the best of the best when it comes to this social studies department. So I hope you consider coming to GSA. It'd be lovely to meet you. Thanks.
Thank you, Caroline. It's funny, I don't know if, I don't think I mentioned this. Tonight is really an evening for us we want to focus. What we do and what we teach is easily found on the website, but why and how, that's what this evening is about, because that's a little harder to find on the website. So Caroline, thank you for starting. And we don't save the best for last. Sometimes it's like you're the kickoff team. So
right out of the gate.
You're right out of the gate. Thank you. Next up, we've got Sara Bushmann, who is one of our health. Well, she is our health teacher, and she is one of our science teachers as well.
Hi, thank you, Jane. My name is Sara Bushmann, and I'm here tonight speaking for GSA Science Department. And in our classes, we try to emphasize hands-on laboratory and field work, because scientists don't just read textbooks and write papers, they make their discoveries by doing science. So we try to emulate that and actually do science. And so Rachel, the next slide. And so here's our science department. We're a team of teachers with pretty different backgrounds. So we have, between us, we have pretty extensive backgrounds in science and science education. And we think our combined strengths make a really great department and a dynamic and varied program. And Rachel, the next slide. And so what we're real proud about is our wide range of classes for students. So we have 3 science credits required for graduation. Many students at GSA graduate with far more than 3. We offer 4 years of the core science courses, Earth systems, biology, chemistry, physics. Each of these classes have different levels that students can elect to take. And the levels are available are foundations, college prep, and honors. And then additionally, we have an array of courses for older students, typically the 11th and 12th grade students, although some sophomores join in. And these classes include 2 AP courses and a college prep course like anatomy and physiology and marine research, ecology research. But we also offer experiential courses such as ocean studies and the marine environment. In general, we strive to offer classes that meet a wide array of students' needs and interests, and we feel it very important that our classes prepare students for their futures, whether that be college or the workforce, near or far. And so for the rest of the slides, we have a few more, and I'll let those slides speak for themselves about the science department and what we offer.
Love bug, love bug.
Thank you, Sara. Corey Esposito. He is here to talk with us. He is a teacher in our design and technology department, and also just a wonderful and wonderful community member. Corey, you here?
Yes, my name's Corey Esposito. I am also a GSA alumni. I love teaching at GSA because I went to school there, learned to weld in the very room that I'm teaching kids to weld in. So it's quite a trip down memory lane every day when I walk through the doors. My classes are 90% hands-on. We do some book work, but I found that when I was at GSA and I was in the shop program, I learned better by getting my hands dirty and getting right in and getting my hands on the machines. And there's a few pictures of some of the machines we have in my shop up here on the slide. We have been fortunate. We've gotten a lot of grants the last year. And so we have a lot of new equipment for the students to use. We're doing a lot of welding right now in my program. One of the other classes that's offered, if you look on the website, is Earthworks, and that's a popular class. I don't teach that. My coworker does, but they do blacksmithing. They go outside and they actually make hooks and plant hangers with iron, and they have chairs and things that they make. So if you're a hands-on kind of person, our industrial technology department has a lot to offer. We have wood classes, We have small engines in my small engines class that I'll be teaching later this year. I have a bunch of dead lawnmowers that have been donated, and the kids are going to learn how an engine runs, and then they're going to go through and they're going to troubleshoot these lawnmowers and get them going. And that's a valuable, a valuable skill to have so you can maintain your own equipment at home. Everybody's got a lawnmower or a weed whacker or something, and for the cost of getting things fixed, or it's a chance to see if maybe it's something you might want to pursue as a career. So I hope that you will at least consider GSA. I have very fond memories of my 4 years that I spent at GSA. Had a big impact on my life with the independent study program. I was actually went out and did independent study on welding, and I shadowed the shop teacher, and I've ended up doing both in my lifetime. So please consider GSA, and we'd love you to come by for a visit.
Hey, thank you, Corey. I appreciate that. Next up, we've got Lori Wessel. She is our lead teacher in our Learning Center.
Hello, everyone. I am Lori Wessel. I am the lead teacher in this resource room department at George Stevens. I am also a very proud 1981 graduate of George Stevens, as is my husband. And both of his parents graduated in 1948, and both of my children graduated from George Stevens in the past. So we have a long Wessel history at George Stevens. I think what I'm most proud of in the Learning Center at George Stevens is that for 30 years, I was a middle school teacher in many of the surrounding schools that send students to George Stevens. That's one of their choices. They could choose one of the other high schools as well. And there were many, many years where George Stevens really was not the choice for students that had IEPs or 504s. The programs just weren't there. GSA wasn't as up to speed as a lot of the other local high schools. And I have to say that the past 10 years, George Stevens has worked extremely hard to be the school that can meet everyone's needs. And I feel that GSA is excelling in that. When I first started 7 years ago, we had a special ed population of 32 students. As of today, we have 63 students that we service with IEPs and 504 plans. We have a team of 3 special ed teachers, myself, Corey Shildroth, and Julie Perry. We offer classes for students that need individual classes. We support students in all of the classes that are offered at George Stevens Academy. We feel like we've got a plethora of accommodations where our teachers are able to provide a lot of those in the classroom. Inclusion is a really big part of what we do. We have, I like to call the Learning Center the hub of GSA because I think it is. And I think there's nothing better for me than to be working with a student on individual reading and have one of our honor students walk through or one of our athletes walk through, asking if they can come and take a test in the Learning Center or asking if we have a resource. So I really do feel like it is the hub of the school. I think the students that work in the Learning Center certainly do not feel like they're in a dungeon of the old special ed classrooms. We're very proud of what we do. We take students all through the year when they move to our area. And I will say that for most of the unions that we work with, our students with special needs are choosing George Stevens Academy. And it's very exciting. I would be happy, along with Corey and Julie, to provide tours for any students that are interested in doing that. We do work very closely with the sending schools, as when students are in 8th grade and transitioning to 9th grade, we try to go to all of those meetings. So we know ahead of time what the needs are for that student to be sure that we really can meet their needs. And I have to say with 99.9% confidence that we can do that. So please, if you're interested, give us a call, send an email. Would love to show you around our room. We're pretty proud of it.
Hey, Lori, thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure.
Next up, we've got Dan Kane. He is our phys ed and outdoor leadership teacher. He's also a coach. Coach Kane, good to have you.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining tonight. It's kind of cool listening to Caroline speak, because everything she was saying falls right into my field completely. I believe very much in experiential education, hands-on learning. I'm a very physical person, and I enjoy the outdoors immensely. I've had the freedom at George Stevens Academy to personally create the experiential education and outdoor leadership class, but also the advanced fitness class. Those are the type classes that are for older students, so you don't come in as a freshman and take it right away, but you lead up to that. And when you get to be in your sophomore, junior, senior year, you get to experience those classes. This fall, I've just had an amazing class. We've had so much fun outside in the EOL. It's just been amazing. The weather, even though the weather was horrible this summer, this fall has been great, and it was just perfect. Leading up to that is physical education. I try to run a traditional and a non-traditional style class. I try to hit things that goes across all different types of students. If you run just a traditional type, I really feel that you don't bring the strengths out in each student that are out there. So again, because I'm the only one in the physical education department and I get the freedom to create these things, I believe we have a great physical education program. What I like about physical education is it gets us started moving. We don't just sit in the classroom. All the other classes, you're going to be more traditional and be in seats quite a bit. So I think it's a great break in the day to get out and do things with us. The school here has been super supportive of me and my programs. Obviously, I started here in the fall of 1988. Two of the faculty that you're going to hear from tonight are former students of mine. And I enjoyed having them. They were a lot of fun, and heck, they've turned out great. They're leaders here at our school. So I feel very good about the program and where it's headed, and just more great things that are happening. I'm always trying to develop it. It's not something that I want to be stagnant. I always am experimenting and trying new things. And admittedly, everything doesn't always fit. But that's the great part. We get to find out what works and what doesn't work. And I think that's the power of experiential education. The advanced fitness class that I run, I've got 13 motivated athletes in there right now. Most of them are part of our extensive athletic programs and various programs, and they're very successful. What I like about it, they're trying to find ways to improve themselves and just try to keep themselves motivated and try to take themselves to the next level. You do not have to be just an athlete to be in advanced fitness. There are 3 students in there that don't do athletics with us at all, but they have a strong interest in improving their fitness and learning new ways of enhancing their fitness. So I really enjoy that. Our athletic program is super successful, and I like to think some of that comes because of what happens in physical education, outdoor leadership, and advanced fitness. So I really hope to see you all next year or within the next couple of years. I look forward to working with you. Please, at any time, if you have a question about anything to do with physical education or a sports team, shoot me an email. I'll be honest, I'll give you the best answer I can. I love to talk about it. And when you come as a student, please bring new ideas. Many of the things that we do in outdoor leadership are things that students said, hey, coach, I have an interest in this. Have you ever thought about trying this? And they help teach me. And it's helped make me a better person as well. So thank you. And I hope to see you all next year.
Thank you, Dan. I just want to take a moment because I'm listening to everybody this evening, and Tim opened it up with his story about how much he loved high school and how much it formed him. And interestingly enough, I have kind of the opposite experience. I didn't like high school. It wasn't ninth and 10th grade was not a great fit for me. 10th and 11th to 12th grade was, and because I switched schools. And anyway, one of the reasons why I love George Stevens is I keep thinking, if I had gone here, if I was a student, I wouldn't have had to fake sick so much from school, because that's just what I did a lot. So anyway, I'm inspired listening to everybody. So thank you. Next up is Melissa Rioux. She is our art department chair. Melissa, take it away.
I'm hoping to do. We're excited to bring back Arts Fest this year in May, as well as, so what excites me about the art department at George Stevens Academy is it is expanded beyond the art room. Mom, so one second. So it's so exciting when our curriculums are interwoven, when Miss Richards is talking about historical painting methods and we are tempering egg tempera upstairs, or also there's a plan to collaborate with Mr. Conti. We're gonna in December painting A, and I will be joining Stu Kestenbaum to create some collaborative pieces. And I also want to share that if anyone is interested in music, George Stevens is a place that you should definitely seriously consider. Our programs are award-winning, highly competitive, while maintaining an inclusiveness that enriches a very large part of our community. And we're developing a music production and recording program in the works, not to mention our phenomenal steel drum band. So I hope I got it all in there with the magic.
You did, you did, and more. Jaime Torre, who is our math department chair, is up next. Jaime, you there? Jaime is coming.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. I'll try to be brief. I'm head of the math department, and here we strongly believe in thinking. There is value in math, in knowing how to follow a procedure and knowing how to solve whatever standard way of solving a problem, but we wouldn't be satisfied if we stop there. So what we really care about is students thinking creatively and being able to make connections with different things. And yeah, my goal would be that all students come out of high school with it's not so much with the confidence that they can solve a problem, but with the excitement of finding a problem that they cannot solve. Because if you have that excitement, then the solution will come. So we promote curiosity and engagement and confidence in the process. Every student is different and every student matters. And because of that, we have a wide range of courses offered. We offered over somewhere between 15 and 20 different math classes, depending on the year. And we are as committed to challenging the most advanced students as we are to make sure that the ones that feel more maybe overwhelmed or struggling, that are also supported. And then, you know, aside from the most standard classes like Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 and Geometry, then we offer some AP classes like AP Stats and AP Calculus, both AB and BC. We also offer some more general classes like Personal Finance and Elementary Statistics. Yeah, and I think I'll make it brief. Yeah, thank you all for listening. Please ask any questions that you might have.
Hey, thank you, Jaime. Joelle, Florian. Jaime, I appreciate that. Thank you for your time. Joelle, Florian, who is our department chair of the World Language Department. Can you unmute yourself? Or hang on, Joelle, hang on one moment. You will be unmuted in just a moment.
How's that?
Perfect.
Okay, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Well, I'm going to wake us up a little bit to illustrate the spirit of our classes right now with this 1920 song that we just revived when life was much simpler. Are you ready for this? La pendule fait tic-tac, tic-tic. Les oiseaux du lac font pic-pic-pic. Glou, glou, glou font tous les dindons. Et la jolie cloche des ding-dang-dong, ba-boom. Quand notre cœur fait boom. I'm going to stop right there, but so I want to tell you that we have quite an enthusiastic experience in the language classes, and while I try not to bore them to death with the reflexive form in the passé composé and agreement of the pronouns or the direct object pronoun with the past participle. I'm very strong in grammar and I love to teach grammar, but I have to sprinkle this with other things such as poetry and singing and also games. Patricia Ugas is our lovely Spanish teacher. She is a native speaker as well of the language, and we have a variety of classes from standard classes to honors classes. And so we try to, at this moment, we always have, we are trying to really educate the students so they can actually feel part of the world, a part of a world that invites them to experience other people's lives around the world. And with all these countries that speak French and all these countries that speak Spanish, it's not a difficult task for us to do. We like to bring cultures such as cooking in our classes, and again, a lot of technical work with grammar and conversations. And I'd like to hope that many of you will be excited to come to our school and experience our program at the school. And I will tell you something, we have marvelous students and a wonderful group of people working at the school. And my students love to be in the classes and they tell me so. So thank you very much. Merci bien.
Joelle, thank you. So to end this portion of the evening is Erin McCormick, who is our English department chair and is also teaches drama, theater.
Good evening. Yet another alumni, class of 2000. And I suppose one of the reasons I teach is I have always been on a lifelong search for real magic. And I think at some degree, when children are very, very young, around 3 or 4, that's when their magic is the strongest. They have curiosity and they have creativity and they're not afraid to show it. And that sometimes gets lost a little. And I think our job, or at least part of it in our department, is to use old voices, those of the authors, the playwrights, the poets, to help them find their own voice and to find the courage to bring that magic and creativity back and use it to become whatever they want to become. And I do love the thing that has been echoed by so many people tonight, that my classroom is pretty much where we drop our bag, just the physical room itself. The real classroom is absolutely anywhere we want to go. And that is entirely not only accepted, encouraged, and that we can bring as much of the world in as well as go out to it. And we do try to get as many guest artists on campus as possible. I'm one of 4 wonderfully talented people who are really trying to help the students become their own writers, poets, actors, filmmakers, or anything at all, really, but and trying to tie all the disciplines into it. And I know they're showing a few of the slides right now. Those are some of my students. We're trying to get a little creative in COVID land. We are indeed doing a standard play, but my students decided to make a movie as well as a play, and they did their own costumes, they helped write the script, and they did all their own filming. So we're hoping to do a lot more of that coming up, and that's fairly normal here. Thank you so much for coming.
Hey, thank you, Erin. I appreciate that. So Rebecca Gratz, I have introduced you a bit prematurely, but it is a pleasure. And Rebecca is going to talk with us a little bit about the independent study and independent project program, advisory, and also the 9th grade seminar. Rebecca, thank you.
Thanks, everyone. It is lovely to be here. This is my first virtual or non-virtual information night at GSA. I recently joined this year as the assistant head of school after Libby Rosemeyer, who many people know on the peninsula, retired. And I come to GSA not as an alum, not as a resident, but as someone who has come here because I love the school. And it every day affirms for me that this is a place that I belong and that I want to be part of. This is Lovebug. And pretty soon the dog is going to come in and try to chase her around. So it's not quite having kids just out of the bath, but it's never dull around here. So one of the things people are talking about is like how and why we do what we do. And just so that all of you know, as I've been an educator for over 25 years, I came from a public school in New Haven, Connecticut, that was an aquaculture and agriculture school, where our focus was on hands-on, place-based, authentic learning that prepared students for college and career and life beyond high school. And that is what I see at GSA, this idea that we are helping, and much of this is what Tim talked about, is that we're preparing our students for the transition into adulthood. I can't tell you how many times I've told a parent, as students become juniors and seniors, we really want them to be owning their learning and advocating for themselves and speaking up and deciding what's right for them, because whether they're going to a trade school, to the military, to college, or to work, we parents are not allowed to go with them. And our kids need to be able to stand on their own 2 feet. They need to learn how to push through when things are hard. They need to fail when they have a safety net, so that they know that they can fail and get up again and rise and be stronger for it. And so that has a lot to do with what we do in advisory, 9th grade seminar, and ISIP, as the trajectory of 9th through 12th grade helps prepare our students for their life as adults. So 9th grade seminar is a quarter course that each of our 9th graders take, which focuses on, so how do I be a successful high school student? We have students who come from at least 7 different K-8 schools, so they come with different backgrounds. And then we have students who come to us from outside of the peninsula, from international, from countries outside of the US, from states outside of Maine. And so what we want to do is create an opportunity for all of them to be ready for learning at GSA. And as, what does it mean to be a high school student? What do I need to know? How do I do that? And of course, right now in particular, this is so important, as so many of our new 9th graders this year have had so much disrupted learning in their middle school years. And this is important for all of our students as we're coming through year 2 of pandemic learning, and making sure that our students are cared for, not only academically, but socially and emotionally during these difficult times. So advisory is very much a part of how do we create community and support our students and make sure that every student has an adult with whom they connect, who knows them, who sees them, who values them, so that all of our students come to campus feeling that they are in the right place for them to learn. And that's one of the things that also Jane and Tim and a few others have talked about, that idea of the choice of high school. It should be a place where you feel like you can thrive and belong. And because there are choices, this is an opportunity for you as an incoming high school student, and also for parents to work together to make the best decision for your child and for your young adult, actually. In advisory, students work on the skills that you need to be effective communicators. We have theme-based curriculum based on the values of our school: community, inclusion, equity, diversity, communication, and giving opportunities for students to really learn how to listen to one another and learn from one another. And we've also included aspects of, it's life skills, but really I think of it as adulting 101, this idea of, okay, we're going to be adults in the world. So how do we do things like register to vote, go get a car, get a loan? How do we make sure that we can read a lease and those kinds of things, write a cover letter, write a resume. So these kinds of things that we want to make sure that all of our students know how to do, because whether they choose to go directly to a college, a 2 or 4 year college, or directly to career, to a trade school, to the military, these are skills that will carry them through. Financial literacy is one of those things that I really wish people had taught when I was in high school. In ISIP, which is the Independent Study and Internship Program, all of our 11th and 12th grade students have an opportunity to design a learning experience that will help them really flesh out, like, who do they want to be? What do they want to pursue? And they work with a mentor either in the community or elsewhere in the world. They work with a coach on our campus to design learning outcomes that they're interested in, and to find a mentor in a project that they can pursue something of interest to them. So we have students one of our current faculty members, who is also a graduate, as is her husband, and one of her children is a current student for ISIP. And when she was at GSA, she worked in the hospital, and that led her to a career in nursing, which she had not known would be possible for her. So the idea that we use these different methods of really seeing and knowing each and every learner and supporting them where they are, taking them to their highest skill level possible, and helping them create a life beyond high school, whatever that looks like for them. That is one of the things that most excites me about being in a high school, is that path of discovery and what happens for our students as they figure out who they are and who they want to be, and we help them get there. So that's a little piece of what we do, and I am really proud to be part of this community, and I really value the educators that I work with every day, and the students who come from so many really diverse and interesting backgrounds, and who bring so much joy to learning every day. So I look forward to meeting you when you come on campus. And I do agree that visiting campus is the best way to learn about who we are. And the other thing I'll say is I really enjoy teenagers. I like learning from them and with them. And it is why I continue after 25 years to work in a high school setting, because it brings me fulfillment and joy to help foster the growth and learning in young people every day. So thank you all. I look forward to meeting you.
Rebecca, thank you. Thank you for that.
At this
exactly.
time, I know you have all those of you who are here as audience members, as learners essentially right now, may have some questions that you want to pose, either that you brought already or that you have questions in response to what you've heard. So if you'd like to put them in the chat, I'm going to have those accessible and then pose them to the group, so that anybody who has any response that they think that they can help you out with those questions will be able to chime in. And of course, there's a lot of information. So if a question doesn't occur to you at this exact moment, we're going to give you contact information as well that you can use to pose questions, via email or give us a call. But if you have any burning in the moment questions, we want to get to those as well. Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I wanted to say that this was not rehearsed. And I knew, I was confident this would happen, but I was very happy at how things I began with. When I say it wasn't rehearsed, like, those were my thoughts when I think about high school. But so often in the things that people talked about that they do and we do, I hope you heard those two themes of supporting intellectual and personal growth really are part of the fabric of what we do and how we think about our tasks. So it's not just something the head of school says so he can say something, but it is very much a part of how we try to embody our mission as a high school.
Thank you, Tim.
And I haven't gotten any questions in the chat, so I would love to assume that means we just answered every single question anybody has ever had about the program here. But again, it might just be a slow burn, and we'll hopefully hear from you with any questions that come up. But and you can, even though I'm going to go on to the next slide, you can certainly add something to the chat, and we can post it to the group. But just the last two slides are really just more information for you to be able to gather more information about the program and the school. So we will have 2 additional info nights. Some people who registered for tonight's Zoom meeting are already registered for these, which is great. The next one's going to focus even more on what Rebecca was speaking to, which is student support, including advisory, and then also our extracurriculars and activities, and then the community, which I feel it's so wonderful how the community is not separate or somehow distinct from our classroom experience or the program. So obviously we spoke a lot, all the teachers spoke a lot about how they're building community in their classrooms, but we'll go into a little more depth in December. And then January, we're going to have an opportunity that I think is always really both valuable and sort of sought after from incoming potential freshmen, which is speaking to students who are currently at GSA and bringing all their questions and just kind of seeing what it's like to be a student from the student's perspective. Also, as was mentioned, if you would like to come to campus, there are going to be official shadow days in the spring. We'll announce those dates. Hopefully, if everything, knock on wood, goes well health-wise in the area, we'll be able to bring groups of kids on campus in the spring. But even without that, if at any time you or your students, your family want to come and take a tour, you can call us. And again, I'll have contact information, call or email, and we can set that up for you starting now or into the spring. I'm also going to share this document, the PDF version of the slides. Anybody who registered for this, I'm going to use that same email to just email you a PDF version so you have access to the information, the dates, as well as these 2 links. So we have a GSA YouTube page with older and current videos that you can actually see some students talking about their learning experience, which can be really interesting. And then also a document that's the 9th grade course offerings for this year. So you saw a little snippet of some course offerings that Sara showed you from the science program, but you'll be able to look at what the 9th graders are offered, generally speaking, this year at least, and that's pretty normal for each year. These are some upcoming events. Unfortunately, the winter concert that was going to be December 8th is no longer going to be open to the public, but we are going to record it and make that available for anybody who wants to see it. It'll be posted on the website and the YouTube page. But we, so far, as of right now, do have these 2 basketball games in the winter that we'd love to have middle school families come to celebrate, our teams, get to know the campus a little bit just through that sort of casual interaction. Ask questions. We'll have admissions folk there for you to get some materials from as well if you'd like. And then the very last little bit, this is a little more nuts and bolts, but our registration process can seem like it starts a little bit early. But the reason for that is that we do something that is very unique. As far as we know, no other high schools in the area are doing it, which is that we really just determine the course schedule each year, depending on student interest. So we ask, new students as well as current students to consider what they want to be taking in the next, coming year by February, so that if we have a ton of incoming 9th graders that really, really want to take, let's say, Algebra 1 honors, that we do an extra session of that, or, a specific art course, or even an elective course that's available to 9th graders, that we make sure that there's no kids that are closed out of a class that they are both interested in and prepared for academically. If they should be in that class, we want them to be in that class. So it might seem early, but we do encourage people to register and give us their course selections by February. It's not binding. There's no deposit or contract, but at least it means that if you do stay on that track and decide to come with us and join us at GSA come fall, that your student has, the classes that they should be in, and we don't have to disappoint anybody. Again, you'll have this linked for application if you want to start your registration process now. That's a link that will be in the PDF when you receive it via email. And we also work really closely with you, students, families, as well as the sending school, any advisor, 8th grade teachers, to make sure that we get all the records that would help us place students where they should be, and also that we have conversations around, the nuances of student readiness and student interest. And like all of the teachers said, every student at GSA is their own student, their own person, and we want them to be supported and served as best as possible academically. I realized I should have introduced myself officially before I started talking, but just so you know who I am and where I come to this from, I came to GSA this year from kind of the opposite end of this admission spectrum, in that I taught 7th and 8th grade at a small community school, sort of similar to George Stevens, but for pre-K through 8, and did the high school transition there. So I spent the last 6 years working with families and parents on the high school choice process, helping them apply, helping them find a school that really fits for their students. And I know that this process can be really stressful and really fun sometimes, and hopefully we can help you find the more fun side of it here. And there's no such thing as a question that we won't try to get the answers for you. So anytime a question comes up, please do call or email Jane or myself. And I also want to say, again, I'm repeating what's been said to some extent, but having done a lot of research and visits to high schools over the last 6 years, I've been incredibly struck by the intention that the GSA staff and admin have put into crafting a program that really does meet any kind of student's need in terms of academic or social emotional, and that, there are some schools that have a certain, there's the prep school or the more athletic school, but being able to have a school that genuinely supports kids, no matter what their, college or career goals are, means that we have a community that is really not just intellectually challenging, but intellectually and kind of philosophically diverse. We have a lot of perspectives and passions, and it's a really good reflection of the real world, in the sense that it's not just a certain kind of student. So it's really been great to meet teachers and see the students and see that on campus. So I do believe that no matter what you or your student is seeking in a high school, there's a really good chance that GSA can meet that. And I hope you come and find out more and give that a chance. Like I said, if you registered for this, I have your email. Within the next day, you'll get an email with the PDF of these slides, as well as a really brief, very brief, like 3-question survey about anything else that you're kind of wondering, or about how this evening event, this virtual event went for you, so that we can answer your questions, but also hopefully continue to improve upon our process of getting the word out and making sure people know what GSA is all about. So I still don't think there's anything in the chat question-wise, but I want to make sure that if there's any questions from any of our guests, that they have a final chance to add anything to the chat. Otherwise, this is the end of our first virtual info night of the year.
Yeah, first of many, we hope. And
yeah,
thank you, Rachel. And you're right. And as Rachel said, if you've got questions, please email us, call us, reach out to us, and we'd be happy to speak with you. But we just both want to thank you for coming tonight. We really appreciate the time you took to spend with us.